The end is the beginning. Genesis, the book of the beginning. Revelation, Apocalypse, the book of the end. We find in comparing Genesis and Revelation that these two books of the Bible are not merely bookends. Genesis and Revelation do mirror or complement each other in many ways. These are some of those occurrences. Genesis the beginning and Revelation the Apocalypse are discussed in The End is the Beginning. In chapter 1, the beginning of an earth age, Genesis, and the end of an earth age, Revelation. In chapter 2, the earth is created in Genesis. The old earth is regenerated for the new heaven on earth in Revelation. In chapter 3, Satan rebels against God in Genesis, and Satan's final rebellion occurs in Revelation. In chapter 4, the sun, moon, and stars are created for the government of earth and as signs in the sky. The sun governs the day, and the darkness is called night. Waters are called seas. In chapter 4, the sun, moon, and stars are connected with the judgment of those on earth. There is no need for the sun or the moon in the new heaven, and there is no more sea. In chapter 5, man is created in God's image in the beginning. Man is headed by Satan's image in the end. In chapter 6, sin, death, sorrowing, and suffering are introduced in the beginning. Sin, death, sorrowing, and suffering are no more in the end. In chapter 7, God pronounces a curse in Genesis, and the doom of the old serpent is also pronounced. The doom of the old serpent is executed, and there are no more curses in Revelation. In chapter 8, man is cast from the paradise known as the Garden of Eden in Genesis. Man's authority ceases, and Satan's ascendancy begins. Satan's power ends. Man is restored to paradise in heaven, and man's dominion is also restored in Revelation. In chapter 9, the tree of life is guarded, so man does not have access to it after his fall in the Garden of Eden. Man's right to the tree of life is restored in the end. In chapter 10, God puts a mark upon Cain in Genesis. Antichrist demands a mark to sell or buy in Revelation. God puts a seal on his elect in the end. In chapter 11, there is a flood of water in Genesis to destroy an evil generation. Satan uses a flood of lies to try to destroy an elect generation in the end. In chapter 12, God makes a covenant with man, symbolized by his rainbow. God remembers his covenant with man in Revelation. In chapter 13, Nimrod, a rebel Antichrist type, attempts to usurp God and his power with pagan worship and the tower near Babel in the book of the beginning. Satan, a rebel Antichrist cherub, and those who worship the image of the beast attempt to take God's throne in Revelation. In chapter 14, people put their trust and faith in man via Nimrod's tower near Babel in Genesis. In Revelation, people put their faith and trust in the Antichrist and turn away from God. In chapter 15, Sodom and Egypt are places of corruption and spiritually represent Jerusalem. There will be a new Jerusalem in the end. In chapter 16, two angels act for God to help Lot and his family escape the destruction of Sodom in Genesis. Two witnesses try to save as many as possible from the clutches of the dragon, also known as Satan, in Revelation. In chapter 17, Adam and Eve were the first recorded marriage in Genesis. Jesus Christ, the last Adam, marries his bride in the end. The end of this video, anyway. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and check the bell options for notifications.